Meet Rob Nelson, talk show host.
Because you got the 70s thing going there. I got someone's underwear.
Robert Kennedy, thanks for taking a minute. Simple question.
Tucker,
It's good to see you. Listen,
You're a Bitcoin maximalist. You're Bitcoin forever.
I hate this central bank digital currency.
hey, I don't have all the answers, but together, I know we can find them.
Down in competition and the ratings grab for late night weekend viewers.
Hey everybody, welcome to Rob Nelson Live. Happy Labor Day, Monday. You know, Labor Day is an interesting holiday, right? The hat thing, I'm doing the hat thing. Somebody close to me told me I should try without the hat. Maybe I'll take it off in the middle. Maybe I'll switch hats. Anyway, to Labor Day. You know, Labor Day is an interesting holiday. When you think about it, do you know what Labor Day is? I mean, obviously, you go, yeah, it celebrates like labor. Well, to be honest, it celebrates working labor. It doesn't celebrate me doing my podcast. It doesn't celebrate David. It doesn't celebrate entrepreneurs. It doesn't celebrate people who are making money in crypto and finance, Wall Street. It celebrates the working people, like the working people. But to be honest, it was really celebrating organized labor, not just workers, actually organized labor. It's an interesting holiday, right? Given the whole battle with unions and, you know, even new tech companies that don't want to unionize. Labor Day was about you. So you give you the quick backstory. If you don't know, it's good. You can tell your friends. You can go out drinking tonight and be like, hey, I watched Rob Nelson Live and I learned the origins of Labor Day. So go back to the 1890s, the Industrial Revolution. People were working like 6-7 days a week, 12 hours a day, right? Just like me, just like us. No, but they were working in pretty bad conditions. Kids 5, 6, 7 years old were working, right? That sort of led to the rise of labor unions. And it was a needed thing. I've always said, I'm not a huge union guy right now, but we needed unions. Unions balance. Without unions, I believe capitalism would have gone off the rails. Marx might have been right. It might have imploded on itself. I think unions actually were like a regulator, like in a steam engine. They kept it from overheating. That's a sidebar. Anyway, 1894, there's a strike called the Pullman strike. And it was a railroad strike, and it became really violent and got a lot of national attention. Now, the backstory is in 1893, there was a massive depression. Before that time, George Pullman had his railroad company, and he built a town outside Chicago where literally he housed all the workers to build his luxury railroad cars. And he paid them, and then he let them live and have rent and living costs deducted from their salaries. It wasn't like, and I'll provide that for you. It's like, and I'll take it out of your salaries. In 1893, there's a massive depression. So he cuts wages 25%, but doesn't cut housing costs 25%. So suddenly he's paying people 25% less, and they're still paying the same amount in rent and living expenses out of their paychecks. They're mad, understandably mad. They protest, they strike, the whole thing goes violent. It was ugly, violent, but it got national attention and was a huge movement forward in the organized labor move. But that same year, Grover Cleveland signed into law legislation that Congress passed partly as a kind of a like peace offering to labor unions, creating Labor Day, an organized holiday. So there you have it. So for those of you who didn't know, Labor Day was official as of 1894, over 100 whatever years ago, 130 years ago, as a peace offering to labor unions after the Pullman strike. There you go. Drink and tell your friends. Drink and tell your friends that we can all be grateful that we don't have those same conditions. So when you complain, when even somebody complains about their job at 7-Eleven or Kroger or, any convenience store, Target, Walmart, any of it, those places have great benefits. Thornton's in Tennessee. You get benefits, you get paid a decent wage. Maybe it's not a high enough minimum wage, but it's decent. But you're not working. I go to my Thornton's in Nashville, and like the woman closes shop down and for half an hour for her break. You're not working 12-hour days. You're not working for subhuman wages. Life is better than we think, is all I'm going to say. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to read you a quote from President DGT, Donald J. Trump. I'm going to start being like Gavin Newsom. I'm going to do RWN for Robert William Nelson, right? I love the Gavin Newsom mimic of Trump. Vance is right. JD Vance is right. You can't, you're imitating the master. I mean, all caps. Thank you for your attention to this matter, DJT. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start doing it. Thank you for your attention to this matter, RWN. Anyway, here's a quote. Wow. Mayor Muriel Bowser of DC has become very popular. Yeah, this is from DJT. Mayor Muriel Bowser of DC has become very popular because she worked with me and my great people in bringing crime down to virtually nothing in DC. That's Trump posting today. Okay, so there's several takeaways from this. One, work with Trump, you're going to get patted on the back and praised. Like I called this early on. Mayor Bowser was super smart. She's savvy. She was smart at the beginning of this. When Trump brought in the National Guard, she said it's unprecedented and unsettling, but she said we're going to cooperate. So she did lay it all out there going, this is not normal and this is a little uncomfortable. But she didn't go, we don't have a crime problem in DC, so what are you doing? Get the F out of here. She's like, I'm not really comfortable with this, but let's see what happens. Well, okay. Unprecedented, unsettling. This is what she actually said the other day. This is what we think in just a couple of weeks of experience has worked. Having more federal law enforcement officers on the street. We think having more stops that got to illegal guns has helped. We think that there's more accountability in the system, or at least perceived accountability in the system that is driving down illegal behavior. We know that we have had fewer gun crimes, fewer homicides, and we have experienced an extreme reduction in carjackings. Okay, yeah, 87% reduction in carjackings. Stop and think about that. Literally, nearly 100% reduction in the number of people who have somebody show up at their car, point a gun through the window, and threaten to blow your head off if you don't give them your car. That's a huge, Huge change, 87%. And what Mayor Browser said is, we know that when carjackings go down, when use of guns go down, when homicide or robbery go down, all of which she's admitting have gone down in the last 20 days, neighborhoods feel safer and are safer. Thank you for admitting it worked. You don't have to like Trump to work with him. He's not an idiot. He has some great instincts. His instincts got him elected president a second time with a jump in between after having everybody decimate him and try to ensure. Can you imagine enduring what he endured? How many of us would even make it through? Forget about whether you'd survive the onslaught can you imagine constant media attacks on you day after day for year after year, then legal onslaughts, the federal government coming after you, the civil governments coming after you, the attorney generals of major states coming after you, then people trying to assassinate you. Can you imagine the burden of that to fight through it? The guy's tough. I mean, he's Teddy Roosevelt on steroids. You know, the story, Teddy Roosevelt got shot during a campaign speech and kept talking. The bullet was in his chest. He just was like, I'll deal with this later. He finished his speech, then went and had the bullet taken out. It was literally lodged in his chest. So, again, like, you don't have to like him, but his instincts are good. It's why he won more working class voters. It's why he swept, like Reagan, swept working class Democrats over to his side. People are like, how can the working class vote for Trump? Because he made sense. Why would black people vote for Trump? A family member once said to me, I see Trump signs in the city I live in from black people's houses. What's wrong with them? I'm like, what's wrong with them? He's making sense. Like, what's wrong with you if you don't get that he's making sense? You don't have to like him. You need to realize Trump operates in the common sense department on steroids. Really does. Common sense. Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States of America. Washington, D.C. is been crime-ridden. Literally. I live there, and it's only gotten worse. There's crime everywhere in Washington, D.C. Everybody felt it. Just like everybody saw the junkies and the needles and the mess in San Francisco, and all the big companies started pulling their stores out, closing them down. We saw it in DC. Sure, you didn't see it on the Capitol, but go a half mile, go a quarter mile from the Capitol, and you saw it. So what you saw was people who were successful, not working class jobs, not digging potholes or filling potholes or repairing things. People going to Congress, people going to their offices at media outlets, national media outlets, were around the area. Outside inside that little boundary, you're safe. But outside of it, you were getting carjacked. You were getting held up. You were getting robbed or mugged walking out of a restaurant. Everybody saw it. Everybody felt it. Much less if you get in the inner cities, inside the communities where violence was literally, 24/7. And Trump said enough is enough. I can do this. This is DC. I have technically federal control of the city. DC is a city technically under federal control to some extent. The only city in America like that. I am bringing the National Guard in, and I am reducing crime. Mayor Browser said, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm going with it. And now Mayor Browser's going, you know what? My city's safer. This is amazing. People are happy. People like me. And Trump, going back to my original quote, wow. I got to find it again. Mayor Muriel Browser of DC has become very popular because she worked with me. That's classic Trump. Because she worked with me. But she is popular. People are like, thank you. Thank you for bringing crime down. And she's like, all right, thank you, President Trump. You worked with us. This is good. Shake hands. We can do this again sometime. Meanwhile, the mayor of Chicago is going the other route. Chicago and Illinois, they're in the resistance mode. The Governor Pritzker, the billionaire mayor. Notice the billionaire governor is losing weight. Everyone's on the drug, right? The Manjaro, the Ozempic. He's dropping the weight fast. He's planning on running for president. He's running on the Democratic ticket in 2028. He's going to lose. He's going to lose in a heartbeat. He doesn't have. I'm telling you right now, Governor Pritzker, you don't got a shot against Gavin Newsom. You literally don't have a shot. Like, Gavin Newsom's going to run over the Democratic field of candidates like Trump did the Republicans. Line up 12 of them. Newsom's going to gun them all down. Newsom has taken a page out of the Trump playbook, and he's like, I'm playing Donald Trump, but I'm going to be the Democrat, and I'm going to be irreverent. I'm going to be funny. I'm going to be culturally relevant, and I'm going to gun my enemies down one at a time. He won't do it in as brutal a way as Trump did. He'll do it in the slicked hair Gavin Newsom style. All right, see, this is the slicked hair. See, I look better with a hat on. Let's leave the hat on, right? Sidebar, we're going to talk about the hat, Operation Ride Home. Love it. You know, it's Jack Daniels' way of promoting, like, get home safe. They only promote this stuff to, like, make for liability reasons. They don't really care if you get home safe. They'd be happy if you all drank yourselves into oblivion and some people died. Too bad. It's like the old thing with seatbelts in the old days, Ralph Nader. You know, GM put seatbelts in when they had to. They didn't really care. They could afford the cost of, you know, all the deaths. It was cheaper. It's a cost issue. Cheaper, better cost issue to say we're promoting safe habits. Don't drink and drive, but truthfully, they don't care. That was a total sidebar, but I'll weave back. Resistance, the mayor of Chicago in resistance. He's signed an executive order that if Trump brings the National Guard to Chicago, which we know is such a safe city, everybody's so safe and happy. Literally, every weekend you read the homicide report. There's 6 more dead people. Granted, they don't live in your white suburban neighborhood. They don't live in the mayor's neighborhood. It's not a white suburban neighborhood. They don't live in his suburban neighborhood. No. But more and more the crime spreads. It spreads to everyone. It's like Gotham City in the Batman comics. And the mayor's reaction, I'm going to resist. We will do everything in our power. He's literally, we will do everything in our power not to cooperate. We will not cooperate with the president. I will instruct our law enforcement to do nothing to cooperate with the National Guard. See how that works out for you, sir. Maybe you should take a page from Muriel Browser's playbook. She's also a Democrat. She's a Black Democratic woman mayor. Maybe you should take a page from her. Maybe you should follow the girl boss, Mr. Chicago Mayor, and realize, what if instead you went, great, let's work together. Let's knock crime out in this city. And I, as the mayor, will take credit for it. Trump will let you take credit. He'll say it's because you worked with him, but he'll pat you on the back and tell you you're the best thing ever. Heck, next thing you know, Muriel Browser, Trump's going to be nominating her to like some position, run something. Like he'll be like, come on board. It's crazy. It's crazy. Other forms of resistance. This is a fun one. Ed O'Keefe, CBS's Face the Nation. He has Kristi Noem, on the show, right? And Kristi Noem is, she's controversial. Why? Well, let's see. She was a governor. Okay. She was a decent governor. She wrote a provocative tell-all book where she admitted to like shooting dogs. It was really hard for me to read, by the way, because they weren't useful. It almost made me hate her because I love dogs, but I appreciated her honesty. She had a rancher mindset, very practical. And she didn't just shoot random dogs. She shot dogs that she thought would be super behaviorally challenged and bite people and do things. That said, she was pretty transparent. But here's what works against her. She's super attractive and she's smart. And she goes out like a Barbie doll. She goes out there like a Barbie doll. Hair up, even when she puts on the Homeland Security stuff, the ponytail, the hat, all decked out like she's in a movie. We don't mind it when in a movie, the hot woman's like in charge. But in real life, we're like, you're not supposed to be a hot woman. She's hot, she's smart, she's in charge, and she knows what she's doing. She's a ball buster. She's not afraid. And she's not willing to back down, and she never has been. Good for her. She goes on Face the Nation, talking about Kilmer Abrego Garcia, the illegal immigrant. We've talked about this. The Maryland guy, the nice, good husband, except for the fact that he beat the shit out of his wife a bunch of times, and she went to court for a restraining order and said she was scared for her life. But other than that, and that he smuggled people in cars and was a MS-13 gang member in El Salvador and most likely here. But other than that, that nice Maryland guy that got deported, she talked about it and said, in terms of prosecuting him, Ed O'Keefe was asking about him staying in the U.S., that she wants him out of the U.S. And she said the decisions get made by the DOJ, Pam Bondi's department, and we'll let him do that. But she pointed out he does have criminal charges pending and civil ones, and they're just going to make sure that he's not free in the United States. And that's what CBS aired. Here's what they didn't air. It is a quote, because Kristi Noem put it up on social so people could see what CBS cut. This individual was a known human smuggler. an MS-13 gang member, and an individual who was a wife beater, and someone who was so perverted that he solicited nude photos from minors, and even his fellow human traffickers told him to knock it off. He was so sick in what he was doing and how he was treating small children. So he needs to never be in the United States of America. And our administration is making sure we're doing all that we can. That seems like the really juicy good part of what she said. I think CBS could have just gone with that part. They went with the boring first part and said, we did it in the interest of time and followed our best practice standards. You know what, CBS? One day you and the rest of legacy media will wake up before you're dead and buried and realize we don't believe you anymore. You don't follow your best practices. You follow your biases. You didn't want to play the whole thing, not because of time. And you didn't want to play the good part. You played the boring part because you didn't want Kristi Noem to say what she said, which is this guy's a despicable human being. That's her opinion. You, Ed O'Keefe, can go, I don't think he's despicable. Then go have dinner with him. Go let your wife hang out with him. Go talk to his wife off the record and say, how many times did he hit you? How badly did he hurt you? Go ahead, Ed O'Keefe. But stop this BS that you guys pretend that you are somehow just following your normal practices. Normal practices, just like during COVID. Normal practices that we silence you. Normal practices when Hunter Biden's laptop story aroused. That's a little one. Normal practices that the New York Post, the oldest newspaper in the United States of America, ran a story, and you shut its socials down and prevented anyone from rerunning that story because you said it was a lie with no evidence that it was a lie. And in fact, as we know, and as people like me and many of you knew then, it wasn't a lie, it was true. So stop with our standard practices, our time interests. It's just disgusting to me that the mainstream media has no ability, no self-awareness to go, our gig is up. Is it the gig is up? The jig is up? I don't know. Whichever it is. That we don't buy it. We don't believe you. And the more you do it, the less we believe you, which is why you'll watch Rob Nelson Live, which is why you'll go for the sharp takes of big stories, why you'll watch the Coxstein News Network. You'll watch David and, and my little promo for Coxstein News Network, right? And, Hotep Jesus. And coming on board this week, Taylor Ferber. You'll watch to get the real takes. Wow, that was a good promo. David will be happy about this. Anyway, where there is some kind of interesting bipartisan cooperation, Rep. Ro Khanna from California, a real progressive, well, from my point of view, a progressive. He'd call himself a progressive, a lot smarter than AOC. And Thomas Massie, a Republican, uber right-wing conservative, have teamed up. And they're doing a press conference on Wednesday. I'll be on with my show after that. And Rep. Khanna says people are going to be outraged after they see what he and Massie do. And they're doing a press conference with 10 victims of Jeffrey Epstein. That's interesting, right? They're doing a press conference with the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. 10 victims. And Khanna says, this is a quote, there are a lot of rich, powerful men, politicians, business leaders who've committed abuse and who've not been held accountable. That's what we're going to hear on September 3rd. This is the tell-all. This is the tell-all from the victims. And people are going to be outraged. And I don't see how after that the House doesn't vote for the release of these files. This is the push from both sides to go, enough is enough. There's something there. I don't know why the Trump administration, I don't know why Congress is pretending there's nothing there. There's something there. I don't know what that something is, but these 10 victims are going to come out, and I think they're going to name names, and I think it's going to be huge. I'm putting my money on it right now. This is big. This is not releasing some more files. This is 10 victims coming out and saying, here's what happened to me and here's who did it. Now, people will say, well, can you prove it? That won't be the point. It's going to start something. It's going to start a fire, and it should start a fire. I'm not happy that we buried this. I don't know who's hiding what. There's a whole lot of rich, powerful people who have something to lose if any more information comes out, and that's what I don't like. I'm not a fan of the rich and powerful holding on to their power, which leads me to this sidebar. Remember, if you do the Rhode Island Attorney General or Assistant Attorney General, her name was Devin Flanagan. She's the one who her friend was drunk at a Rhode Island restaurant, and the owners tried to kick them out, and she got all worked up, and the friend was ranting and raving. The cops came. Body cam footage shows them. The assistant AG is not totally trash. She's a little drunk, but the friend is just out of control. And the assistant AG in Newport, Rhode Island, tells the officers that they should turn their body cams off, because when a citizen asks you to turn your body cam off, you're required to. Okay, that's a good one. You should note that. Can you please turn your body cam off? I'd like you not to see what happens. The whole point is you never turn it off. That's the whole point, right? She knows this. She's an assistant attorney general. She then, after they try you, it's fun to watch because they try to get her to calm down. She won't. Then they put handcuffs on her. He's like, why are you handcuffing me? Because you won't cooperate with us. She's like, do you know I'm an attorney general? You'll regret this. You'll regret this. Well, yeah. She's like, I'm an AG. You're going to regret this. I hate when people abuse their power like that. I just hate it. It reminds me of the old days. I went into a bar with Kevin Spacey in DC, back to DC. And the guy at the door said they were closing soon, not letting any more people in. And Kevin Spacey goes, do you know who I am? The guy goes, I do know who you are. I'm not letting you in. It's like, wow, don't mess with the guy at the door. By the way, that's when I knew Kevin Spacey was gay, because everyone who came in would, every time a hot girl would come in, you know, guys, straight guys like me, your head turns. It's like the head turn that you can't help yourself. And he never turned his head. But when a hot guy came in, his head jerked like this. I was like, oh, okay. All right. That was an interesting sidebar. Anyway, can you imagine that scenario, though? I mean, first of all, the entitlement's just absurd. Her entitlement, turn the cameras off. I'm an AG. I hate it. And then they all apologize and say, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I wasn't thinking. Of course you were thinking. You didn't know you'd get caught. I'm sick of rich, entitled, powerful people doing things, getting in trouble. And then they go, oh, you know, that was really bad of me. I realize now I really didn't mean what I said. Of course you meant what you said. You just think you'd get caught and you're entitled. Can you imagine if that was a black guy or even a black woman giving shit like that to the cops, resisting arrest? They'd have him down on his face in the ground. If you watch the video, she is so difficult and they are being so nice trying to get her hands behind her back. It's a dude, especially a black dude, they'd have his face on the ground with a foot on it. Like, I'm not saying that's okay, but this woman got treated with like, what's it called? With gloves, silver lined gloves. I don't know, whatever. I got the bad analogy, you know. And now her punishment, the AG said she's suspended for 6 months without pay because she embarrassed him and the entire office. Okay, you know what? 6 months without pay, that's her punishment? No, you don't get off like that. I'm sorry. No, her punishment should be you're fired. You're absolutely fired. You don't represent what you do well. It's like with the Fed Reserve I was talking about, Lisa Cook. You don't get to lie about which is your primary residence in 2 different states to get better deals on mortgages and still be an officer of the Federal Reserve. You don't get to be an attorney general in a state of Rhode Island and tell police officers that they have to turn their body cams off if you ask them to, which is an absolute lie and you know it. And then tell them that they'll be in trouble for arresting you because you're an attorney general when you're the one causing the problem and your friend is causing the problem. No, you're no longer an attorney general. Where's accountability? Have we just lost all sense of accountability? Yes and no. Quick things, quick sidebar, international news real fast. Trump proposes renaming the Department of Defense the Department of War. It used to be called the Department of War back in the day. I think in the 40s. I think during World War II it was called the Department of War. It's a little funny, right? I mean, like in 1984, you would call the War Department a Defense Department, right? Everything was named what it wasn't. Trump wants to take a department that's about defending us and call it a department about war. I don't know how I feel about this, guys. Just don't know. I'm kind of like, really? I mean, it is, I guess, a War Department. Saying it's about defense sounds good, like it's to defend us, not to start wars. It's sort of more honest. It really is about war. It's about fighting wars and having wars and doing wars. Maybe it's calling it what it is. I don't know. It makes me really uncomfortable, but a part of me is like, but isn't that what it really is? Again, the 1984 analogy, you know, the Department of War would be called the Department of Safety, the Department of making us all better and safer. I don't know. It's a Department of War. So maybe it's just being honest. I don't know. Meanwhile, Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, who I love because he's a super smart guy. He's made a fortune. He's the first openly gay Secretary of the Treasury, which of course the media will never report on. Not that that matters. It's just they'd report on it if it was anything in a Democratic administration. I hate the double standard. Said basically all options are on the table with Putin. Let's be honest. Putin was playing the long game. He pretended he wanted peace. He was buying time. Went to Alaska, watched the everyone come to Washington, said yeah, and then proceeded to just bombard Ukraine day after day after day, right up through this weekend, with senseless and horrific assaults on civilian populations. Putin doesn't want peace. I said this the other day. Putin just wants his territory. Putin wants the old Russian Empire back, and he will lie, cheat, and steal to get it. So Scott Bessent saying all options are on the table in terms of sanctions. We're going to have to sanction the hell out of them, and we're going to have to really punish anyone, that means China and India, with massive tariffs who import Russian oil. It's the only way. Finally, on the international front, Israel eliminated the Houthi prime minister in Yemen. This is an interesting one. Israel's been taking out political and military opponents, like the leaders, for the last 6-8 months, with enormous efficiency, year and a half, whatever. They took out all the top military people in Iran. They did the drone thing where everybody's paging devices, whatever, blew up on them. They've taken out Hamas leaders. They've taken out top Iranian leaders. They just took out the prime minister. The Houthi prime minister is essentially the de facto prime minister of Yemen. They just took him out. Boom, took him out in his residence. You don't want to mess with the IDF and the Mossad. You really don't. That's all I got to say on that. All right. Going back to our society, remember Robin Wright? She was in House of Cards. She played the ruthless, first lady. I remember her as in the Princess Bride. She was a youngin. I got to change hats here. I'm going to put my dictator hat on. What do you think of this, guys? This is my military dictator hat. This is an A for my friend. He had a birthday, and he pretended he was a dictator and had a coat and all. He's a great guy. But anyway, I'm going to wear the dictator hat for the end of this, because Robin Wright left the U.S. And she went to England, to the UK, and she says, over there they're living. They're not in the car in traffic, panicked on a phone call, eating a sandwich. That's most of America. Everything's rush, competition, and speed. It's liberating to be done. Be done with searching, looking, and getting 60% of what you wanted. It's such a luxury to be able to say that. I'm done searching and getting 60% of what I wanted, getting paid a fortune to be a star. Just for the last, 40 years of my life, to be in movies and film, and marry a celebrity and leave the celebrity and make a lot of money and make shows and get honors and get nominated for things. What a struggle that I only got 60% of what I wanted. You know what? You and everybody else who's leaving the U.S., I'm sick of the celebrity thing where they're all like, I'm going to leave. Good for you. This is a horrible place to live. You live at the top of the pyramid of the horrible place to live. You have things nobody else can have, and you're still not grateful. And yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people at the bottom of the pyramid who would like to have half of what you had, Robin, right? Half of your 60%. They'd probably take 10% of your 60% and be better than where they are. And yet they're often grateful for the opportunities they have. It's just the entitlement. It is so much the entitlement. On the non-entitlement side, I want to leave it with Kim Novak, who is 92 or 94, and she's saying she's near the end of her life. So I don't know if you know Kim Novak. She was a Hollywood star in the 50s and 60s. She most famous for Vertigo, the Hitchcock movie. But a very well-known film, which none of us saw because this is back in 1960, was Picnic, and she played opposite William Holden, who was a big movie star. She starred with Kirk Douglas, Michael Douglas's father. Yeah, old Michael Douglas's father, Kirk Douglas, who was a famous movie star. Strangers When We Meet, I think it was called. And then played opposite Dean Martin in a movie called Kiss Me Stupid. She was a big star. She left Hollywood in 1966, like at the top of her fame. She turned down $1 million offer to write a biography about Hollywood 25 years ago. in the whatever 90s, and walked away because she didn't want to deal with it. She didn't complain and go, so nice to have only got, she's like, I got everything. I had everything. And I just wanted to do something different, and I stepped away. Like, to me, that's such a beautiful difference than the Robin Wright. Sick of this country and all this craziness, and only got 60% of what I wanted. Kim Novak did it with class at the top of her career. Young, beautiful, empowered. She was the first woman to own a production company and said, I want a different lifestyle, never complained about it. She was a badass girl boss from the get-go. And now there's a documentary out about her. And she's like, I'm at the end of my life. That I can admire. I can admire that, that attitude. That's what it should be, man or woman. So Robin Wright, go enjoy England and your 60% struggle. Kim Novak, congratulations for a life well lived and an amazing career. And all of you, thanks for watching. Happy Labor Day, Workers' Day, Organized Union Day. I will see you all on Wednesday without my dictator hat. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Meet Rob Nelson, talk show host.
Because you got the 70s thing going there. I got someone's underwear.
Robert Kennedy, thanks for taking a minute. Simple question.
Tucker, it's good to see you. Listen,
If you're a Bitcoin maximalist, you're Bitcoin forever.
I hate this central bank digital currency.
Hey, I don't have all the answers, but together, I know we can find them.
Down in competition in the ratings tab for late night weekend viewers.